Hi everyone. I'm Elaine Kim, the founder and chief designer of Elaine Kim Collection. And it's my pleasure to come to you today, Monday, with a very important topic, something that I'm super passionate about. I've been passionate about since I was a teenager, and that is this, the topic is retail. And we've, Tracy, who's joining me here, let me flip this around and everybody can see Tracy. Say hello.
Hi.
She and I always have these conversations, and so the topic is Elaine Kim on retail, past, present, and future. So insofar as Tracy is my wholesale manager, she's my sales manager. She deals with retailers, so she's gonna provide a really interesting perspective, because my job is not to have just to have my own retail stores, but also to support other retailers with my collection by producing my collection, designing it, manufacturing it, distributing it to other retailers. So the theme of community will be very important, but we do have a whole network of retailers that we draw on for some of our ideas as well.
Yes.
Okay, so what are some of the things that people have wanted to know along these themes? Or what do you want to ask me?
Well, I think something that's very interesting, and you and I have discussed a lot, is your background.
Oh.
And I don't think a lot of people are aware of sort of where you started.
Right.
The groundbreaking things you did in both retail and wholesale before launching Elaine Kim. And I think it's really important to note and touch on that.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. So I can love to go back in time, and I've been fascinated and committed to retail since the beginning of time. My parents, I came to the United States. I mean, this is back to when I was a small child. I don't want to bore everybody, but I'm an immigrant to this country. I came here when I was 8 years old, and the livelihood. My parents are intellectuals from Seoul, Korea, but when you arrive in this country, you open a business, and most likely you're going to open a retail business. And I think that seeing them kind of learn retail, and I was right there along with them, taking the deposit from our grocery store to the bank for them, being behind the counter, seeing them make friends through retail and creating their community through retail. My mother, who's a writer, actually wrote several stories about her experiences behind the grocery store counter in San Francisco.
Really?
Yeah.
I did not know that.
So retail it was kind of like imprinted on me, just like those little ducks, they follow their mother, that is the mother. So retail is sort of like that. And what I have always gotten from retail was the connection. Space and time. You're there. You sell something. Because I'm a pleaser. You please somebody. You reach somebody with a product. That moment, foundational. And when I was in college, I worked for the best high fashion store on Telegraph Ave at Berkeley, which is called Mickey's, and pretty much, fantastic store. You do remember Mickey's? Wow. Okay.
I grew up.
That dates
I grew
you.
up in Northern California. We'd go shopping on Telegraph all the time in Berkeley.
Also
in high school.
Mill Valley. Because I think you're not Marin.
No.
Okay.
I'm more Silicon Valley Peninsula. That's
Right.
where
Yes, I worked in retail clothing stores, and that's the first thing I did after college, after majoring in comp lit, was that I actually, opened up a retail store back in Los Angeles, and that retail store I had with a partner, Ken Fasola. It was called Ecru, ECRU, and it was on Melrose Avenue back in the day when Melrose was super glamorous. Now it's fun, but back then it was also very glamorous, that main section of Melrose Avenue. And through that store, I quickly merchandised. I was a buyer, and first I started with kind of Los Angeles designers, going down to the California market, center, and picking designs. And then I found that, oh, well, these designers are actually based in New York. Why don't I make a trip to New York and attend markets there? So within maybe a year or two, I was sourcing. I mean, I think I had the good fortune of sourcing the best designers. One of the designers that sticks in my mind is Marc Jacobs. I mean, I carried one of his very first collections at Ecru, Marc Jacobs collection.
And then weren't you also one of the first to bring European collections too?
Right. So when you are attending markets in New York, you realize, okay, well, not only are the designers great from New York and other parts, but it's all about London. So then I make the trip to London and I pick up, John Galliano and Koji Tatsuno and Christine. Those of you who know, I mean, Christine Aaron's shoes, amazing, designers of the 80s. So we're talking 80s here. Then Paris, Martine Sidbon, and then Milan, where we carried them all, pretty much. So so Ecru was definitely my first business.
I believe it was a destination too for a lot of celebrities and
yeah, we had them all.
Well,
right.
Remember,
people. It was the 80s, but I think I was at the right place at the right time.
And you have the right eye. That is a huge thing.
Well, I'm a fashion creature in that sense. It's like, yes, we want to be excited by, I was very young. I was in my early 20s, straight out of college, and just eager to throw myself out there and collect the best designers, introduce them to Los Angeles. But one of the things that kind of put us sort of additionally on the map, besides the excellent roster of designers, was the fact that I married the architecture to the presentation, to the retail business. So what I mean by that is we hired cutting edge architects to come in and redesign our store. And we explored a lot of really fun ideas. First of all, minimalist, stark presentation. Windows that would cast light a certain way. Dressing rooms which would flip around and be both the partition and the mirror and the display rack. Fabulous, it was a very large space there, and a fabulous ramp on which we presented shoes. And the shoe ramp also doubled as a fashion show runway. So really fun. I mean, just the wildest ideas. And in that sense, I believe in contextualizing the fashion within an environment.
Making it an experience.
Brick and mortar retail, yes, experience. So that was my first passion. 80s ended, and then I went on to my second business. So so retail is really in my DNA, and
then your second venture,
right,
you went to more of a design side.
Right.
So what sort of brought the transition of like you're in this great retail environment, and you decided, okay, now I'm going to step into the design shoe.
Right. So people always say, like, how did you become a clothing designer? Did you what design school did you go to? So I always answer, well, I'm self-taught, but the design school that I went to was the school of retail. Because yes, you're an editor, you're a buyer, and you are also the person who presents the clothing. And then in presenting the clothing, I realized, oh, well, what I had last season, the designers are no longer offering it. And so I was very much on the side of the consumer, my clients. And I realized, you could see holes where you could enter the market. And so I entered the market with a very simple concept. It grew out of Ecru. The concept was born. It was at first called Ecru Pret, and then it was when Ecru was over, I started the company. The company's name was Product. So Product by Elaine Kim, and that concept was very much about the early 90s. It was when austerity, the 80s was over, and you just wanted clean white t-shirts, simplicity, component dressing, but fashion, but the elevated basics. So yes, that the product concept, with the name and everything, comes out of that. And quickly, I started to learn how to create, even learning how to make patterns, hiring pattern makers, but then watching over their shoulders. So yeah, that was my design school, wasn't it? Just doing, self-taught. But it comes from trying to fill a need for the clients. You see, that's very much what I do today. We're still in the past, but all of this is very much there already in my past. My obsession with providing something that is useful to the clients, emotionally stimulating, exciting.
When it's also, pieces that are timeless.
Timeless.
Like you've never been one, at least that I, am aware of, that has done something that is like a quick trend, something that you will not have in your closet forever.
Right. And
that is, I think, something that's hard to find in a lot of collections.
Right. So, sometimes it is difficult to divide what is trend and what is what is permanent, what is a classic enduring thing. So you do throw a lot of things out there, but I believe my point of view will always guide us towards something that will be timeless. Why? Because I do not believe in design for design's sake. I believe in function. We might just ask her to come in. We have a customer. She can sit over there on the sofa. This way. She can come in this way, Tracy. Okay. So, sorry about that. You see how committed I am to retail. We have a customer and we never turn them away. So she's a friend actually. So we'll have Michelle come in. Hi, Michelle. Come in out of the sun.
Yeah, you
Can
told
you
me
wait?
not to come today, and I emailed
No
you.
problem. Yeah. And so, yeah, I didn't want her waiting outside. Okay. Yeah. So the course of always pulling the thing that is super elemental, something that. So I'm jumping ahead a little bit, but yes, if you can strip something down to its essential in a design, in a garment, and then really highlight that detail, so that you don't give somebody something basic. We call it in our business dumb basic. But you take something very simple, but you add a very important statement within it.
Detail, which you are great at. And one thing that you said to me, and it was in a random, conversation.
Very random.
We weren't talking about anything that had to do with the collection or design. And you said, 1 + 1 = 8.
Ah.
And to me, I find that to be who you are, because your pieces are 1 + 1 = 8. You can take one piece and wear them 8 different ways. You can take 2 pieces and create multitudes of looks.
Right.
So
let's bring
special.
in my UC Berkeley lit crit side of me, which is that what I provide, it's like a text, right?
Mm-hmm.
You put something out there. It's an oeuvre. It's a book. It's a text. It's a word. But that word, that text is not complete until somebody else steps into it and utters it or responds to it. So when it leaves me, when my garments fly off through my retail stores or through my retailers, retail stores, it goes out in the world, and then it becomes something that is independent of me. And that is where 1 + 1 = 8 comes in, because that one thing can be anything. It excites me to see how people wear my garments. I love to allow for somebody else's creativity to be channeled through my garment.
Yeah, as a designer, you allow the individual who picks a piece to own it.
Right.
And
you
make
own
it
it,
their
girl.
Own.
That's right. You gotta own it. Right. So, that's why I think that's, it's just been something that I've been very proud of. That the pieces endure. I have friends, Nancy Lorenz for one, who always says to me, I have your product piece. And she won't throw it out. And she's begging me to, it's still her go-to. This must be over 20 years old by now.
I mean, that speaks volumes, though.
So is that a guarantee that anything you buy from me, okay, this little top, the pants, you must wear that for 10 years, minimum. You can't throw it away. I guarantee that it'll be current for 10 years. I mean, I can say that because
I would agree.
I have pieces.
You pull out product all the time.
Oh.
You'll come in and I'll be like, what is that?
Well, maybe that was luck, but
no, you do that though. You'll pull out older pieces that are still so relevant.
Relevant. Let's be relevant. Yeah, it has to be relevant for 10 years.
Yeah.
More. I mean, I say be eccentric. Be that 90-year-old woman one day who pulls out something and it's just still fabulous. I mean, yeah, no. Let's not 10 years, 100 years. It's got to be valid for 100 years.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, what would you say? Obviously between product and Elaine Kim collection.
Yeah.
You had. It's a slightly different collection, and then also what brought you to
this.
To this.
Okay. So, back up for a second. Product was born as a wholesale collection. Coming out of retail ecru, I wanted to be free from retail and just be like the designers I used to go source. I wanted to, learn this new métier of being the designer and selling to other stores. And actually, Fred Siegel was my first client. So that was
and you were in
Ron
Barney's,
Herman,
and
Barney's,
I mean,
yeah.
it was a great, and
Right,
had a
we sold
following
all
that
over
was,
the world. Right,
all of your top stores.
right. Okay. So, but can I leave well enough alone? No. You know what I really did? As soon as I could afford it, I opened a retail store in LA and a retail store in New York. So that is just what I do. Retail is in my blood. And by retail, I mean brick and mortar retail mostly, although, we're learning a lot about the online store, aren't we?
We are, and
it's going well.
It's going well.
Yeah.
But
which will bring us eventually to the present.
But you thrive off of working with other people.
Yes,
and
I do.
you thrive off of dressing them in your pieces and showing them how to wear it and the different ways they can.
So all the little things that kind of, the elements in my formation, the architecture, the working with clients, the wardrobing, sourcing the most exciting designers, putting all that together within a space, a physical brick and mortar space, that's pretty much me, and that gives me that joy. I mean, and so I think that I'm a retailer's wholesale product as well, because we really do. We enter a retail store that I sell to, wholesale to, and we quickly become that retailer's number one or number two line, because I do provide, it's very customer centric, the product that we put out.
It's very customer centric, and then also you're extremely supportive of our wholesale accounts.
I love our wholesale
You know,
accounts.
I-
They're kindred spirits to me.
I do not know
fellow retailers.
any designers who go and do trunk shows
Uh,
with their accounts and work with their customers.
right.
Again, that's your retail love that
That's right.
is showing through.
That's right. It's a high. It's an adrenaline high. It's wonderful. But also, it's the way that I learn. It's the way that I can kind of start to construct the next collection, because I can see what's working in the line. I can evolve this slightly. I can make it better. If this was my best intention, but it didn't work, it could be made better. So those incremental changes, which over time, over the 12 years that I've had this collection, creates the best fit. It's been built up by physically working with customers,
Yeah.
and getting them excited about it. Connection. They tell me what they want, right, or what they like about it. I'm always interviewing my customers, like, what is it? What do you like about it?
Well, that's good.
What do you see in this?
Because then they feel a part of it, and they
it's a
can
collaboration.
actually see
Right.
it in the next collection.
Right. Okay, so back to the question, which was, how did product
Yep.
become this? Well, between product and this collection, I took a break for 8 years from fashion, and I had 2 other creations, my children. First I had a boy, then I had a girl, and I had to work with them, but as soon as the boy was 8 years old, 2nd grade, 3rd grade, and the girl was going to kindergarten, I thought, now's the time. I'm gonna go back to my fashion, right? Because they're in school for several hours. So again, Elaine Kim collection was born out of, my goal as a working mom. I just wanted to wholesale to other retailers, because at that time I was very concerned about, having children, sustainability, driving around in your veggie Mercedes station wagon with French fry oil, powering your, living in the canyon. The Elaine Kim collection, natural materials, things that can decompose, compostable fabrications, all of that. But also, I wanted to get back into the conversation of fashion, right? So I called it Elaine Kim because I felt, okay, this is my third business. Let me make it something that I can, put my name on, believe in. So the original intention was really to just sell to the best stores, not just in the country, but around the world. So back to what I was doing with product. So having a rep in New York, and then having a rep in Berlin at the Munich at the time. So we had started to build a nice distribution. That was the first collection, and then the world came crashing down. 2008, 2009, which was the bank crash, the financial crisis, and the housing crisis, and the recession, and the catastrophic effect of all of those financial institutions going bust, and then people having to the government's bailing out. I mean, the stock market crashing. I suffered so many cancellations from those retail stores. So here I was, actually here in Los Angeles, down the street on Third Street and Martel, actually in a beautiful space. It was not a retail space, my design studio, and so I have hundreds of garments in my little warehouse. What am I gonna do? I mean, it's very similar to what we're going through right now. So I actually got in my car and drove down Third Street. And lo and behold, next to the Traveler's Bookstore, which I used to go to all the time, the Cook's Library, they had just put up a for sale, for lease sign, or for rent sign. And I'm like, perfect. It was literally the first store. And that's this shoe accessory room. So signed that lease that day, tiny little space, move my design studio to the back, and I start to do brick and mortar retail. Okay. So yeah, sitting there by myself. So retail again, forced into retail, but in the end, I think that retail, it always saves me. By now, I know that retail is very. I always say it's nurturing. It's spiritually nurturing for me to have and present my collection in a retail space of my own. It's my own living room. Come have a cup of tea. Let's talk about clothes. What are you gonna wear for this event, that event? But also let's become friends. Let's have some meaningful dialogues. Oh, you're a part of a charity? Well, let's do an event together. Let's benefit your charity. And that was 12 years ago, right? That I drove down the street and got the lease. Since then, we've taken the Traveler's Bookstore as well. So now we have this bigger space. Yeah, building community, connecting with super smart women. When I started Elaine Kim collection, it was, the clothing that I had grown up from the product days. I wanted to have real clothing that really fits, clothing that feels great, clothing that will last, beautifully made, all the craftsmanship that I know how to pour into a product. I sort of did that, and then having people react to it, buy it, support me. I mean, this, you know, we we want to stay the institution that we are in Los Angeles. I
Well,
mean,
so, okay, this is
yeah.
a funny story.
Yeah.
Of how actually I started with you.
Oh yeah. This
I-
is how I do it.
Yes, this is
Yeah.
the Elaine Kim way. So I've been working for another brand, and
Yeah.
I was actually selling you guys the
Mhm.
brand,
Mm-hmm.
and I came in one day,
Yeah.
and you looked at me and said, "Well, what are you doing right now?" And I was like, I'm not really doing, much. I've left the other job. I'm
Right.
sort of figuring some things out. You should come and sell my collection.
Yeah.
And she
decided.
Totally throws me in the dressing room
Yeah.
and starts giving me all these different pieces to try on,
yeah.
and so I could see how everything fit and what it was all about.
Mm-hmm.
And that was literally it.
Right.
That was it. I basically started for you
Great
probably
example.
the next week.
Yes, great example of my modus operandi. I mean, this is how I work. I always ask you, please try this on. Because you cannot, just looking at it, you must try it on. It's the way that you feel in the garments. Also, what do you call that in Korean? We call it kwansang. We read faces, and I knew you were the one. That's like several years ago.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So bravo.
That-
You
that-
drank the Kool-Aid, girl.
I did, but that speaks to who you are in terms of how you do work with people and the connections you build
Yes.
and the communities that you form and what you do in your retail space.
Exactly. So my living room in LA, my living room in New York, very important because I really do feel like I'm a part of not just the fashion conversation, but in the growing up process of us as women. I mean, so many of the customers have become friends, It's like that. It's like, oh, Lori, yes, now you're my friend.
Right. And you
Beth, you're my friend.
You text with them.
Oh yeah.
And you do face calls with them, and you go above and beyond to relate and connect with your customers. And I think when you have your retail stores, it is like your living room. You are inviting people into your world.
Right. So this is, of course, not much different from what other excellent retailers do. But you'll find very few, perhaps, designers actually,
Very few.
out there learning, participating, selling, doing trunk shows.
Yeah.
By the way, we are going to do Aspen.
Okay.
Yeah, we're gonna be in Aspen. That's gonna be our first big trunk show post COVID.
And we've been doing we
end
have another
of July,
we're
beginning
going to
of
set up another
August.
online
Oh yeah,
trunk show
online
with one
trunk
of our
shows.
accounts. So, that's what I think is great is you're willing to work and change
Yeah,
and go in whatever direction is needed to still be able to have that connection and have that sense of community. So, obviously
thank
we're
you
in
for
strange times,
mentioning that. Mm-hmm.
but we're still setting it up so that you can connect with our customers and our retailers that are in other states
That's right.
without physically being there.
Right. So we had a successful virtual. So these we're calling them virtual trunk shows.
Yep.
So we sometimes do them on Zoom, for instance.
Mhm.
And I do help sell the retailers. They're like the little pod in Houston, and they gather their community. I float in via Zoom and I talk to them. I introduce my things. I mean, I have to have my name on this thing. I have to, stand behind it. I'm standing there. I'm telling you, wear it, girl. Put it on. Try it on.
But that's what makes you so powerful, I think, is there are not a lot of designers who do that. I've been in wholesale for a very long time, and it's a rare thing that the designer shows up at a trunk show. or puts in the time and energy and effort to connect with customers and listen and really forge ahead based on those things.
Right. Yeah. So thank you. Well, I, committed to that, and which kind of brings us to a present toward the future, right?
Right.
So this is a very difficult time, of course, for not just myself as a business designer, manufacturer, retailer, but and a fashion person, but it's also difficult for all of our customers, difficult for my landlord, difficult for all of our retailer clients as well. But I think the way back, and I was going to actually tell you this, but I read this morning, because there's a lot in the news these days about this department store closing, and this online doing really well, or what businesses do well, and what designer is closing 200 stores, and just there's a lot of change, but I know that things will get back.
Yes.
Because two of the catastrophes that I've lived through, the 9/11, which was the ending of product, actually. Interesting. My sister says it takes a major natural or some kind of cathartic event, world event, to knock me, off my business. So things do come back. I mean, I remember thinking, am I ever going to sell my apartment in downtown Manhattan? People ever going to shop again? I mean, remember downtown after 9/11, downtown New York was closed and smoking for so many, months, and it was really touch and go. It all came back.
I think it's going to be a pendulum
2008.
swing.
Yeah, 2008, after that, it came back. My community supported me. I created my community. It's like trial by fire, rocked from the ashes of, and then this is really tough. I mean, I have to admit, right?
Yeah. It's challenging.
We are making creative decisions all the time about how we're going to support our, retail partners. How are we going to keep our own doors open? How we're going to do the next collection. I mean, all of these things are still very uncertain and still in play. But what does calm me very much in the present is to just drive down from the canyon in my little car, park in the parking lot, walk into my retail store that you that you rearranged to me. It's gorgeous at the moment. And just walking in here, it's my oasis. It's, I'm so grateful to have a store. And if, I have had a few customers just walking in. I've also had appointments. And I'm just doing it again, building my community back up. They're out there right now.
They're still there.
They're still there. That was my husband calling. So we're here. I mean, I think this is just like, for me, it's very like a life raft. My store. I miss my New York stores. I wish I can be there and just kind of be in there too.
Soon.
It would calm me very soon. Soon. So retail, we're committed. After all, we are sentient. We're human beings. We need to touch and feel things, and we need an inspiring environment.
Yeah, I think what's going to happen is,
to experience
in this pendulum swing of coming out of COVID, is customers are going to be more aware of what they spend money on. They're going to want pieces that are more special, that are unique,
Right.
that make them feel good. And then they're also going to want that interaction, that connection. You know, they're not going to want to walk into the major big department stores or the fast fashion. They're going to want to walk somewhere and have a conversation with somebody.
Right.
Because even though everybody's been quarantined, you know, connection has actually gotten stronger between human to human interaction.
Right.
And I think we're going to want to continue that.
Definitely.
And that's what you bring.
You know, I've been doing it all my life. I've been doing it since I was 19 years old, you know? It's just, and I so believe in it. I mean, it's very sincere, you know, when I say, hey, you know, this is a space for women who do things, who think, you know, this is, we have built a community of kindred spirits, quality conscious, people who are at a certain level of sophistication and the way they live and what they want in their lives, who curate their existence, you know? These clothes are really for women who curate their closet. They don't want a lot of extra junk.
No.
They want everything to count. Now we're really finding more than ever. Every moment must count. Every possession must count. Every friend, you know, we really, it's great to boil down to such essential, right? I'm not afraid.
No. I don't think we should be.
And as I said that, you know, it's uncertain, but yeah, no, it's just, it's really one foot in front of the other. Come to my retail store, have my appointments. Oh, and I have a really interesting virtual trunk show with Australia.
Oh yeah.
I mean, okay, so that's,
some
you know,
interesting things have come to light.
Yeah, so interesting. You know, I can sit here in my store and I'm going to inspire some fashion people, kindred spirits that somebody's gathered for me in Australia, clear on the other side of the world. And that's how powerful this conversation with fashion can be.
Yeah, and it's also your commitment to creating community and to creating that connection with people.
Right.
That keeps
it's not just me to the client. You know, I can tell you so many stories of women who are shopping, who come out of the dressing rooms, and another woman is coming up saying, "That looks great on you." They strike up a conversation. They become fast friends. And the next thing you know, she's going to visit that person in Venice because she's moved to Venice.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just, it's an incredible community.
Yeah.
I respect and love all of the women that I come into contact with through the clothing.
I can personally say it's going to take a heck of a lot more than this to knock you over.
You think? I mean, global pandemic, girl. It's pretty big.
It's pretty big. But,
It's pretty big.
You know, I think when it comes to sink or swim, you will swim every time.
Oh, well, you know, I always say that community, though, remember, includes my team, my posse.
Yeah, we life vest up.
Exactly. So Tracy, I can only do that if my team sticks with me and my community sticks with me, and you guys come when you want to shop, never before. When you think of it, think of me. Come by. I'll be here with a cup of tea, get my tea to serve you.
Hang out in the living room, try on a few things, and just enjoy it.
It's your laboratory to try on things like, okay, high waist pants are in, like super high waist pants like I'm wearing, okay? You're gonna try that on and you're gonna love it. You would never buy that, just, you know, you wouldn't think you'd like it, but yeah. So.
I know, why don't you give a quick, so they can actually see the high-waisted pant, because sitting down it's kind of difficult.
This is a fabulous pant, I think. this is one of the pants I'm most proud of. It's got the cargo pockets. Here, let me move this aside. So it's got, I'm wearing it with sandals, but it's got the big cuff. It's a full length pant. But, you know, some of my customers.
Which I love, I have to say.
You love these pants?
Well, I love these pants, but I love the idea that people are
but look
cropping
how
it.
cool that you can do the wide crop, right? It's like, look, you keep the same, like that's a good silhouette too, and that's really active. So, and then my like wardrobe trick of buying two pieces in the same fabric, my love of jumpsuits.
Yes.
So it's sort of a little faux jumpsuit, right? So then you can, you know, there's a little, I mean, this top is just like that too. So.
And what's great is the fabric, it's actually a sustainable form of satin. So it's Cupro.
Yeah.
So it's lightweight, it breathes, it hangs well. Like, again, in that vein of what you do.
Right. Sustainability. You know, wearability, ease.
Yep.
You can machine wash this, definitely.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Yeah. It's got a function. We got stuff to do. We have things to conquer out there. So I'm just giving you the tools so you can look and feel confident and comfortable. But yeah, you guys take care of that 50%. I can only provide the 50%. You know, you complete the conversation. So yeah, I'll be sitting here, brick and mortar retail. Online is picking up though. It's very interesting and fun. Yeah. Okay, so shall we say goodbye?
Yeah.
All right. Bye, Tracy. Goodbye,
Bye,
everybody.
guys.
Let's continue the conversation. Do DM us questions. You can also pick up the phone and call me at the store here in LA. I'll probably pick up. But it's been a pleasure. So see you on Thursday.